So, you might remember when former President Trump kept talking about buying Greenland. At the time, it sounded like a joke, right? Something straight out of a late-night comedy sketch. But it turns out behind that really strange headline is one of the biggest geopolitical stories of our time. It's a story about nuclear missiles, unbelievable riches, and a new Cold War that's brewing at the very top of the world.
It's a fair question, isn't it? I mean, why is the United States so fixated on an island of just 57,000 people that's 80% covered in ice? What's the plan? A new national park? Or is there a secret hidden under all that ice that could literally shift the entire global balance of power for the next 100 years?
To really get to the bottom of this, we first have to completely rewire our brains and forget that map we all stared at in school. You know the one, that flat Mercator projection? Well, it was great for old world sailors, but for understanding 21st century power plays, it's completely misleading. It makes Greenland look like it's stuck way out on the edge of nowhere, and that couldn't be more wrong.
Let's start with the first and honestly, the most chilling reason. Greenland isn't on the edge of the world. It's America's absolutely essential northern shield.
Okay, so if you look at a globe from the North Pole looking down, you see a totally different picture. Suddenly, Greenland isn't in some remote corner. It's smack dab in the middle. It's the geographic plug sitting right between North America, Europe, and Russia. This is what military strategists call the top of the world.
And this is where it gets really grim. If, God forbid, a nuclear war ever broke out, the missiles launched from Russia wouldn't take a long, scenic route over the ocean. Nope, they'd fly north, straight over the pole, and their flight path would take them directly over Greenland on their way to major U.S. cities.
This is exactly why the U.S. has what it considers a crown jewel there, Pituffik Space Base. Its massive radars are just staring into space 24/7, looking for the telltale sign of an incoming missile. It is the very first tripwire. Those radars give the crucial few minutes of warning needed to even try to intercept an attack. Without that base, America is flying completely blind. And the threat isn't just from above. The stakes are just as high underwater. You see, the waters between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK create this natural bottleneck known as the GIUK gap. For Russia's powerful northern submarine fleet to threaten the US coast or cut the undersea internet cables, which carry almost all global data, they have to pass through this gap. So if you control Greenland, you can essentially bottle up the entire Russian navy. So Greenland is a military fortress. Got it. But that's only half of the story. Because as the ice melts, an absolutely unbelievable treasure trove is being revealed. Let's talk about the stuff that makes our modern worlds tick, rare earth elements. They're in your phone, in electric cars, in wind turbines, and in the guidance systems of military drones. And right now, China has a near-total monopoly. Let me put this plainly. China could, in theory, shut down the world's production of everything from iPhones to F-35 fighter jets tomorrow. But here's the game changer. Buried under Greenland's ice is the second largest known deposit of rare earths on the entire planet. We're talking an estimated 18% of the world's total reserves. This one island holds the power to completely shatter China's technological chokehold on the rest of the world. And it goes way beyond just rare earths. The US government has a list of 50 minerals that it deems critical for national security. Well, guess what? Greenland has 43 of them. We're talking huge amounts of lithium and graphite for EV batteries, titanium for jets and defense. It's not a supermarket, it's a geological hypermarket. And if all of that wasn't enough, geologists estimate there are also massive, untapped reserves of oil and natural gas just waiting offshore. So whether you're betting on a green future or on fossil fuels, Greenland is sitting on an absolute fortune that becomes easier to get to every single year. So this incredible mix of strategic location and natural resources has basically turned the Arctic into a new front in a global power struggle. And the US is quickly realizing it's falling dangerously behind. Just look at this comparison. It's not even close. Russia, which controls half the Arctic coastline, has been building up its presence for decades. They have a massive fleet of over 40 icebreakers, some of them nuclear-powered, and a whole network of military bases. The United States? We have two functioning icebreakers. The disparity is just stunning. And then you have China. Now, China has exactly zero territory in the Arctic, but that little detail hasn't stopped them. In a really bold policy paper from 2018, they just invented a whole new category for themselves, declaring China a near-Arctic state. And they're not just talking, they are acting. They're pushing a polar Silk Road shipping route. They've tried to finance key infrastructure projects in Greenland, like airports. And U.S. intelligence is convinced they use scientific research ships as a cover to map the seabed for submarines. From Washington's perspective, the fear is simple. If the U.S. doesn't secure Greenland, China will get its foot in the door.
Okay, so we've covered the military angle, the economic angle, and the geopolitical one. But there's one huge factor that often gets forgotten in these great power chess games: the people who actually live there.
So here's the reality on the ground. Greenland is technically an autonomous part of Denmark, but its economy is incredibly fragile. It's almost entirely dependent on fishing. And to keep the lights on, to pay for schools and hospitals and basic government services, it depends on an annual grant from Denmark of about $650 million. Think about that. That grant makes up more than half of their entire government budget. This economic reality creates a really tough spot for them. The people of Greenland have a very strong national identity, and they dream of full independence, but they also know they can't afford it, at least not yet. And that's the backdrop for this very clear statement from their prime minister. They don't want to be bought, but they know they need partners to build their future. And when you actually ask the people of Greenland how they feel, well, the numbers speak for themselves. It's crystal clear. As you can see, the polls show that an overwhelming majority has zero interest in becoming American. And it's not just about money. They're afraid of losing their unique Inuit culture, their language, and the European social safety net that Denmark provides, things like universal health care. The intense pressure from America has created a truly shocking diplomatic fallout. I mean, just process this for a second. Denmark, a founding member of NATO, a key ally, was forced in its official intelligence report to list the United States as a national security threat right alongside Russia and China because of its aggressive focus on Greenland. That is a geopolitical earthquake. So where does that leave us? Was this whole idea of buying Greenland just a weird passing thing? Or does it point to something much deeper about the world we're heading into?
Well, history shows us that while it sounds crazy to our ears today, America was literally built on land deals. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the country. Alaska was bought from Russia. And get this, the U.S. Virgin Islands were purchased back in 1917 from the very same country that controls Greenland today, Denmark. So there is a direct historical precedent for this.
But here's the thing, the world is different now. Back then, nobody asked the people living in those territories what they wanted. Today, we have international law and the idea of self-determination. The story of Greenland really forces us to ask a tough question. As our world keeps warming up and the global scramble for resources gets more and more intense, will things we think are priceless, like national identity and sovereignty, just become another commodity with a price tag? That's the real question at the heart of this whole thing.